And I came here in 1986 to run it for myself, and I signed the papers, and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Maybe you learn in proportion to how much you listen and care. If you can find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and can resonate with people and actually to some extent help people. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
Do I put town chair or council chair?
You look nice to see you.
Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes
Bring it back again. Thank you.
Megan, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you.
you're not doing anything to keep that like somebody take care of themselves. It's just like the issues of the tax issue, the health issues, when you don't have family intervention like that, people are scared. You've got assisted living, if they limit the same, it's just like, it's a very tough situation. It's not that it's not a decision, it's a decision, it's a personal decision of somebody else.
Begin by asking everybody to silence their cell phones or turn them off, please. And I guess we're going to start with the public hearing. We have two ordinances. Ordinance number 5, 2012, providing for an amendment to the Winslow zoning ordinance. Article 14, Section 14 through 44, mixed-use district by adding indoor recreation as a conditional use. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on ordinance number 5, 2017? If not, we'll move on to ordinance 6, 2017, which is providing for an amendment to the Winslow Town Ordinance. Article 14, Section 1460, parking spaces required, by adding the underline and deleting the strike-through language in the attached section 1460 of the zoning ordinance. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on ordinance number 6, 2017? If not, we'll move on to the regular council meeting. We'll begin with the roll call. Pardon?
We did that before the...
Oh, you already did roll call. Okay, because we have to call the meeting to order. Okay, did you do the Pledge of Allegiance?
No.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting we held on May 8th and May 22nd. We'll take them both at once. Moved and seconded. Any discussion or corrections? If not, all in favor of accepting the minutes, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Communications, legislative report. Do we have our legislator here tonight? We have a report in the packet. Anybody?
I would imagine they're probably.
They're probably working overtime. Yep. Okay, under communications again, we now have a public comment period. Is there anybody from the public who would like to get up and speak on any subject that they want to? Please step up to the microphone. State your name and where you live.
My name is Kyle Price, and I live here in Winslow on Clinton Avenue, and I see that you have a resolution later that's related to recycling, and I just thought that was a good opportunity. Maybe you've already heard about this, certainly the town manager knows a lot about this, but the elementary school has been participating in a program over at our school since January where our food waste and related trash is going to a different location than through the traditional waste stream. So I'm sure there are some numbers that at some point in time can be produced and shared that will let you know what the difference is in that.
Is that-
potential savings.
Is that one out of the 3 cafeterias?
Yes. And the others, I believe, I'm not going to speak for the superintendent, but we have had some conversations about expanding that, and I don't think there's any particular thing holding us up other than just getting a few other items in order to make that happen. So it's been very successful and very doable.
Appreciate that input. Do you have a question for him?
Yes. Who does the recycling? Is that through the town?
It's actually not really a recycling project. Basically, all of the waste in the cafeteria, food and everything else associated with that, is going into a single sort of container, a tote. And the company is AgRecycle, and they're out of Exeter. They're connected to a dairy farm up there and also an energy producing facility. They're all tied together in 3 separate business entities, but it's the same farm as the Fogler family. And they separate out the stuff that can't be used. Anything that can go into the slurry along with the cow manure goes into a big methane digester where they're collecting the methane. They're burning the electricity, they're burning the gas to make electricity, and the solids come out to become bedding for the cattle, from what I understand, and the liquid, which now doesn't smell as bad as it would if it wasn't treated, is used for fertilizer on the land.
Do you have any poundage numbers or how much total waste, like on a weekly basis or anything?
I don't have
You
that.
don't
That's
have
what
that,
I
okay.
meant when I
Yeah,
said,
okay.
there are some numbers. I mean, they're collecting every time they
Right.
pick up with us. We have 30-gallon totes, 31-gallon totes that we're putting this stuff in. They come twice a week, pick it up, clean the totes out for us so that they're not, left in a condition that you wouldn't like.
Yeah, whenever somebody can get something, it'd be nice to see what percentage of efficiency more you were in the reduction of the total tonnage, and then put some dollar amounts on that, just let the, this
Those
be
numbers
interesting.
rest with Mike.
Okay.
Is there a cost associated, Kyle?
There's not a fee that it's costing us. My understanding is that it's costing less for that trash to go through.
Okay, I just didn't know if that company was charging to do the pickups and whatnot.
There's a fee, but
Okay.
it's less than what it would be if it went into our regular tipping fees that go into our
Okay, yeah,
town's
that's
trash.
pretty much where I was going with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know those numbers, but I'm managing it from the operational side.
Thank you for your input, appreciate that. Is there anybody else who'd like to say something from the public? If not, we'll move on. And under C, under communications, we have a Nat Blackford, Efficiency Main Trust presentation.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting me here today. My name is Nat Blackford, and I am a program assistant at Efficiency Maine. And I was invited here today to talk about our low-income weatherization program that we've been kind of outreaching to different municipalities across the state. So it's been going on for a little over a year. It's called the Low Income Home Energy Savings Program, or LIHESP, and it offers $1,000 towards a weatherization bundle called the Energy Upgrade Bundle. There's a copay of $50 from the homeowner, and for that they receive an energy audit, 6 hours of air sealing, LED bulbs, low flow devices, and another kind of measure which can either be kind of insulation measure or additional air sealing. And then after they get this kind of energy upgrade bundle and the building is tight, they're eligible for enhanced incentives on insulation and heat pumps. So after you do the energy upgrade bundle, you can get $1,000 per zone of insulation that you put in. So that's basement, walls, or attic, for a total of $3,000 if you do all 3 zones. And then the incentive for the heat pumps is 80% of the installed cost, up to $2,000. And the program has some kind of expanded eligibility requirements. If you currently participate in LIHEAP or are on the LIHEAP list, you're automatically eligible. If you live in an owner-occupied single or double-wide mobile home, you're eligible. If you live in a house with a combined building and land assessed value of at or below $80,000, you're automatically eligible. And if you received general assistance from the municipality or are approved for low-income services through the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, the USDA, Community Development Block Grants, or Housing Authority administered programs, you're automatically eligible. So it's a really good program, and it's helping a lot of people throughout the state right now, and I would love to take any questions you might have about the program.
Go ahead, Rick.
Any Winslow residents are participating at the present time in the program?
I do not know if any, I don't have specific individuals that I know who have participated in this law.
What can we do as a town to communicate this to our citizens? Do you have a program, or Mike, are you aware of this program, or this is
This is the first time.
first time you hear it
For the
too?
details.
How can you work with our town to make sure that we get this message out to people that are out there?
Yeah, we have a bunch of materials I can leave here and I can hand out if anyone is interested in them. We've been working with towns throughout Maine to kind of help foster community efforts to do this. So there's a couple different ways towns have been involved. Some towns have actually taken it upon themselves to organize something and to help provide that copay, because that $50 doesn't need to come from the individual. It can also come from a municipality or a nonprofit. So there are some places like that are trying to fund this through a community development block grant, and then having it administered by a CAP agency. So I think a good first step is just getting the word out about the program and making sure that people are aware of what it costs and what it can do for their energy usage. So that's what I would say is the first step. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about what specific other towns are doing, I can talk to you about that later one-on-one. I don't have all the details in front of me.
Can you tell me what the acronym LIHESP stands for?
It's LIHESP, and so it's LIHEAP or LIHESP. Sorry. LIHESP is what we call our program, and that's the Low Income Home Energy Savings Program. LIHEAP is what's also known as Heating Assistance, and that's Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, I believe. So those are the two acronyms.
Mike, would we have a list of people that would be eligible for this program through the town that we know of?
Through the assessing.
Yeah, through the
office, based
assessing
on-
office?
Based on some of the information.
Yes, to me, that would be, as part of that, we could really kind of target, at least make it,
Reach out to
communicate to
them at
these
least.
people, so that they know this program that would be there, that's available, and then we could work with you. We could say, either say, if you're interested, give the town office a call, then we could hook up with you guys.
Yep.
And you could come in and see if we could get 3 or 4 people that would be eligible. At one time, we could do something like that through Judy's office.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you wouldn't start, how many customers came in the last heating season for assistance, for oil assistance. It might be
Yeah.
nice to start with them, button their houses up.
Is that what other towns are doing? Like, sort of?
Yeah, and some other towns are getting together and trying to go out to RFP, request for proposal, and get pricing from different contractors.
Yeah.
And to see what their prices would be, and try and, if you have enough people, you can get a kind of a more competitive price through a collective purchase. And so I have a
Right.
list I can give you of the different contractors around here who participate in that.
Oh, that would be really good. And maybe through, I don't mean to lengthen this more, but maybe through Judy could even at times, maybe even promote this program to some extent in her travels, or, make it known to the people, individual people that may be eligible for the program.
And make available to her the pass out information.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right, just to get it out, they might not participate, but at least they're aware of the program. Sometime when you're trying to exist on very low income, you don't have time, and you don't hear about these type of things, you're trying to exist, so a little helping hand to organize it would be beneficial.
I believe that KV Cap runs the program already.
Yeah, the CAP agencies run a program called it's the Weatherization Assistance Program. And that's federally funded, and that goes to people who have a lot of need. I think the average, they pay for everything, and it usually runs about $6,500, I think, per home. And because they're federally funded, they're kind of limited in how many homes they can do. And so they operate off of a really long list, and it can take a while to get to the bottom of the list. So the nice thing about this program is it allows people, if they want to get their home weatherized, to go out and engage with energy auditors and businesses to get it done faster.
So do you have you just said businesses, do you have a program that's available to businesses too?
Yes,
And
we
what
also
about-
have business programs.
What about municipalities?
I'd have to follow up with you on that one. I've been
I
more
mean, we
focused on.
spend a lot of money on electrical bills every year, for sure.
We want LED light bulbs
Well,
Yeah.
actually,
on all of our.
on that, have you been able to get a hold of them about doing an energy audit again?
No, I've been in touch with our electrician. Apparently you folks at one point had a program for, I think, businesses and, which included municipalities,
Yeah.
for LED lighting, but that funding of the program went away.
I'm gonna have to follow up with you on this one. Our business program manager is really the person who can answer your
Yeah.
question the best right now. And I can give you his name and information, so you can follow up with him.
At the other thought, Mr. Chairman, this could be a good piece of information for folks to have at the library, right? Because it's 2,100, 2,200 folks in Winslow.
Yeah.
And in full disclosure, I am on the Efficiency Main Trust Board. So if there is anything from the standpoint that the town would like, I know just who to call.
Good. Anything else? Thank you, appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
You're gonna leave that information, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, now we move on to the agenda, we move on to appointments. The first one is to reappoint Robert Nadeau as the KSTD trustee to a 3-year term. Were there any other applicants? No.
He's not here.
And he's not here.
Couldn't make it.
Couldn't make it. Do you want to take these all together? If there's only one applicant for each position, is there only one applicant?
Well, there's, yeah, because there's two of them with 2 vacancies and 2 people, so that's still the same thing.
Still the same thing. So
Yeah.
all of these, we got
Yeah.
Sally Harwood
Yeah.
and Kate Newkirk to appoint to the Agriculture Commission for 3-year terms. We have an H. Max Sheehan and a Jeff Dagnall to the board, and I apologize if I mispronounced someone's name, to the Board of Assessment Review for 5-year terms. So we have 3 openings, 3 committees,
So moved.
2, 2, and 1. And no,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just appreciate the people that are serving on these boards time and time again. I know Bob, and I know all of the others do. Just thank goodness we still have people that
Wanna do it.
value community service and volunteer for these boards, and it's really an unsung hero. They don't get a lot of accolades, but they do a lot of good work.
But they get
Prevent
paid.
things from coming here. Yeah.
So no further discussion, all in favor? Please raise your right hand, hold the same sign. We move on to reports of committees and commissions, and we start with the town manager's report.
Yes, in my report, the only item I'd like to talk about now, the others we'll talk about later, are the foreclosed properties. We have 6 properties that we have foreclosed on. 2 of those properties both being on Marcoux Street, are currently occupied by renters. So it's likely we'll need to go through an eviction process for those 2 parcels. Whitefish Road is it appears as a camp that we foreclosed on. The Nowell Road is just property. And then on Benton Avenue, 87 Benton Avenue, that's a brown building just down the road from here. It's a building that there's questions about whether it's structurally sound. And so the big question is, does the council have a preference as far as my disposing of the properties, whether we go out to bid or whether I work with a realtor? At this point, the Whitefish Road would be one I would suggest perhaps we work with a realtor on. And until I can resolve the 2 properties on Marcoux Street, perhaps I could come to you at a later meeting after we get those 2 resolved. And the Nowell Road, it is buildable, but it's in a wet area. I know there's at least one abutter who's interested in Mercer.
Is that where the house burnt down?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I would suggest we put that one out to bid. And the Benton Avenue parcel, I would suggest we put that one out to bid as well.
Now-
Benton Avenue.
Yes.
Where?
Oh, it's 87 Benton Avenue?
Just,
Oh, yeah, that
just for the
Yeah.
catering place,
Used to be.
used to be. Now, do we hold any liability if something were to happen to that building at this point?
I mean, like if it fell down?
Yeah.
We're the owners, so yes.
Okay.
What would everybody like to see the manager do with the disposal of these properties?
You know, good, Mr. Chairman, I think, you know, the proposal, either going out to bid or working with the realtors as the town manager put forth is probably the right approach.
Everybody agree with that the town manager's gonna, I
think-
guess we don't need a motion, right?
Yeah, I think the realistic situation, first you gotta evict the 2 people first, you gotta
Right.
get them.
Right.
But I think you're gonna, you know, you're letting somebody else do the work that has a network of
Oh, right.
a lot of people that maybe wanna see this place. We don't have to do the advertising if we put it out to bid. We're responsible for advertising, and then, you know, I don't know how effective that'd be. It seems it would be effective if we used, whenever we possibly can, a realtor.
Well, the only advantage to it, and I agree with you, I think the taxpayers will do better with the realtor. I think we'll have a bigger return probably, especially on a lakefront property, I would assume. The only thing about putting it out to bid is if there's a neighbor or if the owner wants to rebid on it, it's easier for them to do that. So, but that's it.
And in the past, we've, at least on one parcel that I recall, we contacted a realtor. The property was not in very good shape, and the realtor actually at that point suggested that going through them
Wouldn't be,
there would be no benefit.
At least you asked them.
You can
That was
ask
a
them.
valuable input.
yeah.
To say that the realtor didn't wanna touch it, then we know we made the right decision putting it out to bid.
Yep.
At that point in time, at least you get a different, you know, a different opinion besides us on the property.
So do we turn around and go to a realtor, say,
Have the
we'll look
realtor
at these
it.
properties, you decide what we should put out to bid and what we should try to list with you?
Yes, I could do that.
Come back to us next month with what the realtor told you. Maybe the realtor will already have sold it.
Yes, Ms. West. How may we help?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fine. Do we have a realtor in mind? Do we use the same person every time?
No, we've only done it once with a realtor. Most of the other times, we've put it out to bid. I would probably contact a couple of realtors to get their opinion as far as, you know, whether the properties they feel are suitable for sale through them or some other means.
Can I suggest someone?
Sure.
Adrienne Lovejoy of Cola Banker, Florida. I just listed a house with her and she sold it very quickly.
Through the chair, if I may, would the code enforcement officer also have an opinion by looking at the building and getting back to you? Would that be a value added?
As far as the Benton Avenue,
Any of the properties, as far as the code enforcement, his opinion on the
Condition of the
on the
building.
condition of
property.
either the land or the building would be another viewpoint that you would feel valuable?
probably here and/or the assessor as
Right.
well.
Yeah, I'll go through all the,
Especially if there's potential danger now that we own the building.
and the more eyes you have, the better
Yep.
decision is going to be through those people that have probably been there multiple times anyway.
How many of these are occupied?
At least 2 of them.
Well,
Renters,
the
right?
ones on Marcoux Street are occupied.
So they could basically tell a realtor, no, I'm not letting you in.
Yeah, I would suggest holding off on those until we can
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
occupants
yeah.
removed, and then we'll proceed with those.
How about the other 4. They're not occupied. Well, one of them
One of them
is
Some
the
of them will
camp.
be, yeah. One's camp
One is land.
and one's land.
Yeah, the one's land, and the one on Benton Avenue isn't,
It's not occupied now.
you know, and there's one left,
Yes.
and that's not occupied either.
Which one?
Well, you got the 2 Marcoux Streets that are occupied.
Yep.
The land is just a piece of property. The camp is not occupied.
You've got the one on Donna
On
Street.
Donna
Donna
Street.
Donna Street is occupied, I believe.
Yes, it is.
That's- So we'll leave that to you, Mike, until next meeting.
Okay.
You give us a report back and see what everybody has said. Do you have any more,
Nope, that's all I had for now.
any questions for the town manager? Okay, we've had the department reports, and everybody has a chance to look at them. The finance committee report, the treasurer's warrants, and the financial report. Any questions? Has everybody signed the financial statements? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept all reports.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have tabled, and then we have unfinished business. Unless someone's gonna talk about the table, I'll move on to unfinished. Start with ordinance number 5, 2017, providing for an amendment to the Winslow zoning ordinance, Article 14, Section 1444, mixed-use district, by adding indoor recreation as a conditional use. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Moved, is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We all set? Is that a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Set?
Yep.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Patricia West? Yes. Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 6, 2017. Providing for an amendment to the Winslow zoning ordinance, Article 14, Section 14 through 60. Parking spaces required by adding the underlined and deleting the strike-through language in the attached Section 1460 of the zoning ordinance. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? No set? Roll call?
Ken Fletcher?
Yes.
Patricia West? Yes. Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ben Twitchell?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Steve Russell?
Yes. Moving on to order number 8, 2017, providing for authorization up to $2 million of the town's general obligation bonds to finance road and drainage improvements. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, good, Mr. Chairman, I believe at the first reading, we removed the sewer improvements.
Yep.
So I think we need to cross that out to make sure that's out.
But it still may include drainage, right?
Yes.
Correct.
But not sewer, okay.
Roads and drainage.
Roads and drainage, okay. Anything else to discuss?
We had asked Paul last meeting to get a list for us of roads that were going to be taken care of with this bond.
You got that list? Boy, you're on top of it.
Subject to change.
Subject to whichever water main breaks first. Yes, dig up.
Which Court Street's not on it? Court Street's not on it.
New pavement on the Garland Road, maybe?
Yeah, one section.
Yeah. Just up to Ken's house. Maybe the reporter can get one of these too.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, kind sir.
4,000 feet on the Wyman Bog. Sherman Oval. There's one here that we we have to finish constructing a cul-de-sac that the original developer did not. Did we have a bond to complete that cul-de-sac, or is that so far gone?
I think that's so far gone, I don't know when the biggest drive.
Yep,
was
okay.
built, but it's one of those areas we've been fighting with turnaround,
Yep.
and I finally realized, looking at the deeds, that there was actually a cul-de-sac deeded to the town, I think we would have taken advantage of it.
Question, let's see, number 4, North Pond Road, you got shim and overlay, how thick?
We need to shim and an inch overlay,
How much on the shim?
probably an inch.
An inch and an inch.
I picked that one because basically it can be paved without a whole lot of extra work, and having to reclaim it, it's still in fairly good shape, so we can make a little more bang for the buck. Most of the other ones, we need to start ditching and changing culverts, and I'd like to give that a year to set. Like I said, this is subject to change.
So you could add the Knoll Road onto this? You're doing all the streets around me, but not mine. So do we have another list of roads? I know. It kind of is, because I think I had to ask for this 3 times, so I feel a little, but, is there another list of roads that you're gonna do this year in addition to this? Or
No,
like the normal budget that we normally do?
The normal budget this year, half of it is paying for Clinton Ave,
Mm-hmm,
and the other half is kind of reserved for the turning lane on Millennium, which I'm
yeah.
not gonna touch until we know where we are with
Grants.
the grants and everything else.
So $2 million doesn't go very far, does it?
No.
I know, adding up the different things in there, they don't come up to 2 mil.
No,
Well, this is the beginning.
Yeah, it's 1 year, right?
This is the first round of the 2 million, right?
Yeah, it's a 1-year list.
Yeah,
Not included on this is what we're gonna be looking at this fall for the drainage project.
for the drainage, yeah.
That's about $500,000. And we're waiting to find out when the MPI for Clinton Avenue, if we get that, that's another $500,000 out of the bond for 2019. It was quick.
Yeah. Raymond, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I guess, we spend so much money on roads and sewers, and is there any, Paul, a formal process of how we evaluate roads, and then how we decide how a road gets bumped up in as far as priority goes?
They had done a survey in 2009, that they hired an engineering firm, and they rated them all numerically from 0 to 5.
Yeah,
And I've been trying to follow that, John has followed that before me. But there's some of them that are the priority ones that are in the, like the sunset development, that, we're kind of skipping over to it, and then just kind of going through and bringing to it, so kind of working our way down. And also looking at what we might get done cheaply, shimming over is a lot cheaper than reclaiming.
so we're running off an evaluation of 2009. Should we at periodic times spend the money to update this priority list? Because if you looked at the time between that's 8 years. There might be things that have fallen out, but then priorities that come in, something might have deteriorated.
That's a good point.
I
If you're
mean,
gonna spend-
what do you think about that, Paul? How do we going to evaluate these roads?
I was looking at it that, if it was a 3 back then, it's a 2.5 now, but they all kind of degraded in the same amount.
Yeah. What does it cost for like a evaluation of when somebody comes in to evaluate?
That I couldn't tell you, I can find out.
Yeah, maybe find that out.
Why
so
don't
we
we,
know.
why don't we look into that? Why don't we
The
find
only- the
out
only
the
other sys-
evaluation process and that we see if, get the cost of the evaluation of roads. It's a lot of money, and we need to make sure that we're putting the money in the right places with the evaluation. Based on traffic, based on, a whole bunch of
Well,
criteria.
plus, I get it from
that
the
we need.
taxpayers too, we
Yeah,
want to be
we
able to
want-
say,
yeah.
this is why we did this road, because this
Yeah.
engineer said that
Yeah.
if we didn't do it this year,
Right,
we were gonna spend twice as much.
yeah. So
We gotta have that
I
information.
think we need to reopen that and just see what the cost is and whether that would be beneficial for future evaluation of our roads.
Yeah.
Steve?
I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a
was
question for
thinking.
Paul. Is Taylor Road on your radar at all
For next year.
for next year?
That needs to be ditched and trees cut.
Because we only did half of it, we did not do the second half.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a grant to do the culvert that's
Mhm.
up closer to Cushman Road.
Mhm.
And I've been told there's money in the legislature, if we ever pass a bill, to put $10 million in the DEP
on some of those, I think they pay 80%. So that needs a half-arch culvert,
Mhm.
and I'd rather do that before we pave than after, because we may have to raise the road a little bit to go with that culvert.
Okay.
So that's in the long range radar, supposed to be that money to be available this fall if everything passes.
Okay. Thank you.
Paul, you got number 5.
You have to tell me what it is, I don't have.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. You don't remember this by heart? Number 5, Whitgo Street.
Go Street?
One of them has railroad signals.
Yep,
The other one is just crosswalks.
yep.
I believe you're just looking at the railroad to replace their ties.
I'm looking for the railroad to do whatever they have to do so I can pave on both sides of it and try
Right.
to adjust the grade, and I have to work with them. I mean, there's a fair amount of traffic, it's really rough, it's rough for us in the wintertime. They've told me that they would help us out, it's not gonna happen, if it does happen, then we save some money, but I'd rather get, especially the second one has 2 crossings, has 2 sets of rails, because there's no siding.
Mm.
So we'll take the old set out and have just one crossing. But it's not something I can do on my own without working with them.
No, I'm not gonna do my magic on this one. Your
There's a lot
headache.
of traffic on that road, there's, there's a couple of commercial enterprises, so I'm sure they would appreciate getting that fixed for us. The rest of the road's in good shape, just crossing the
Do we have any more discussion on order number 8, 2017? Are we ready for a vote? You need to get a roll call? Okay, go ahead.
Jerry Kirian,
Yes.
Ben Twitchell.
Yeah.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Ken Fletcher.
Yes.
Tricia West.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. Moving on to new business. Begin with, I never did read order number 8. Did I read it last month? It's too late now, right? 'Cause we've
Yeah,
already
remember?
disposed of it. I must have read it last
That
month.
was the one that
Yes.
was really, really
Okay,
long.
Yep. Okay, so we move on to ordinance number 7, 2017, providing for an amendment to the Town of Winslow Code, Chapter 14, Section 1484, vacant buildings, by adding the underlined language and deleting the strike-through in the attached document. Be it ordained by Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows, whereas the proposed amendments are to clarify that the ordinance only applies to buildings that are both vacant and abandoned. Now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Winslow that Chapter 14, Section 1484, vacant buildings, by adding the underlined language and deleting the strike-through in the attached document. What is your pleasure?
So move.
Moved. Moved and seconded. Open for discussion.
You know, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I brought this forward, but actually, this is just a explanation of the ordinance we put in like a year ago. And what I found was that we were talking more about vacant buildings and didn't get to that next, and abandoned. So principally what we did is just emphasize and abandoned, and we actually used the state law, or the state statute, which defines how you go about determining if it's abandoned. And it's things like doors and windows on the premises are continually boarded up, so forth, so on. So this is consistent with the state standard, and I think will be workable, and it also gives a process as to how we would determine that.
Any further discussion? We all set? Roll call?
Patricia West.
Yes.
Ken Fletcher.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Ben Twitchell.
Yeah.
Jerry Kirian.
Yes.
Steve Russell.
Yes. Move on to Resolution 18, 2017, a resolution providing for the adoption of a procurement policy for federal grants. Be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows, whereas to be eligible to apply for and receive federal grants, the Town of Winslow must adopt a procurement policy for federal grants by July 1st, 2017. And whereas the Town Manager has prepared the attached procurement policy for federal grants, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town hereby adopts the attached procurement policy for federal grants.
So moved.
Been moved,
Second?
moved and seconded. Open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, as the resolution states, this is required if we want to apply for and receive federal grants, such as the one I applied for our turning lane. So, anyway, this is, federal government does require this.
Do you need to have, does this require a second reading?
No, it's
No,
resolution.
it doesn't, okay.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
On federal grants, is this direct from the federal government? Or is it including state?
Could be a pass-through grant.
Yeah.
It's being administered by another agency, but if it's federal money, then we have to follow the policy, but if they have special requirements for that money, then we have to abide by those special requirements.
And the other question is, I believe that when we put in for grants, can we be told that we're putting in for grants?
Yes, this requires that the town council have to approve the acceptance of all federal grants.
Basically, that means mostly all grants, including anything doing with the police, fire.
Yep.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign, unanimous. We will move on to Resolution 19, 2017, a resolution providing for the transfer of funds from the election equipment capital account of $10,000 and the municipal building capital account of $9,000 to the traffic light account in the total amount of $19,000. Be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas the Maine DOT updated the town traffic lights for a total cost of $925,920. And whereas the town's share of the project was $19,000, now therefore be resolved by Town Council, the town manager is hereby authorized to transfer funds from the election equipment capital account and the municipal building capital account to the traffic light account in the total amount of $19,000.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
And this transfer is necessary because I'd like to pay out of that traffic light line item, just so it's easier for us to keep track of where we're spending our money.
Could you just explain what it was used for? This was part of that upgrade you wanted done, correct?
Yep.
Just so everybody, so it's transparent, everybody knows why.
Yep. When, it was actually over a year ago when we started working with them, on, I think, 4 intersections, they were going to leave in-ground loops, which tend to be problematic because if you have an issue with them, you gotta dig the road up. And so we had asked if they would upgrade those loops to basically video detection. So that's what that cost is. It's for that upgrade to video detection. So if we have any issues with that, it's just a matter of doing the work on the light, on top of the light itself. When you look at the new traffic lights, you'll see a little black device, and that's the video detection device that they put in.
Go ahead.
I find that you don't sit there as long and have the thing cycle through with no other cars going. I think it's a very worthwhile project, and people passing through so much easier, especially on the Basket Bridge, where they changed that lane thing. So much easier with that new process.
A lot of this, you're right, Ben, because a lot of the savvy people, we come through about like 4:15 in the morning, and sometimes they'll sit, I don't, but they'll sit there for, I don't anymore.
You got privileges, do you?
No, but you know what I mean,
yeah.
they sit there for like 3 minutes and they're rushing in to come to work because they're taking 20 minutes to get through the town of Winslow. But now they're saying, boy, whatever you did, it worked, it really was a well value added type of thing.
I think one, the other thing was that the whole system talks to each other. So if you don't have anything at one end, it'll turn green.
Anything else? The only question I would have, Mike, is if we're ever gonna use these capital accounts that you're taking the money from, And if you would have the money, say, that we collect from a TIF, could this be considered to be a development type of a thing, business friendly, and that we could take it out of a different account?
To do that, it has to be, we would have to show a connection to the TIF property or
Improve
project.
traffic flow for all.
Yeah, I don't,
Just a thought, because eventually we're gonna need those funds in those capital accounts, I assume.
well, I think we're gonna be okay in the election equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I left enough in the building capital
Okay.
to take care of any issues until we go through the next budget cycle. We don't have I was just thinking as far as TIFs, the gas TIF, if we're doing an infrastructure project adjacent to the gas line, then potentially we could use that TIF money. But that line doesn't go as far as
Doesn't go that
any
way.
of these, so
Okay.
that's not an option.
I thought it was just a general improvement of traffic flow. You could make that it's business friendly, so to speak.
It helps my business.
Pardon?
It helps my business,
It does?
yes.
But if you think there's plenty of money in those two accounts, that's fine with me. And we'll have other things to spend the TIF money on, I'm sure.
So this is all that is required from the town's 19,000.
Yes.
Out of almost $1 million. That's a good piece of change.
Any further discussion on Resolution 19? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. We move on to Resolution 20, 2017. A resolution providing for authorization of town manager to accept a donation from Joseph and Mary Nader to benefit the Winslow Fire Department. Be it resolved by Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows, whereas Joseph and Mary Nader have made a donation to the fire department in the amount of $50, and whereas the Naders would like to have the donation benefit the fire department. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Town Council of the Town of Winslow, the town manager hereby authorized to accept the donation from Joseph and Mary Nader of the amount $50. Be it further resolved that the donation be applied to the fire department and in an account designated by the fire chief.
So move.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All set?
The fire chief decides where the money goes?
Yeah, where he wants to put it is in firefighter relief fund.
That's a fancy word for pizza.
Something
That's a
about
fancy
pizza.
word for pizza.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign.
Actually, water.
Move on to Resolution 22, 2017. A resolution providing for the authorization of town manager to distribute the attached request for qualifications, RFQ, for the junior high building. Be it resolved by Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows.
Good one.
Whereas the town's Junior High Building Committee is recommending that the town distribute the attached RFQ to determine if there are reputable entities that can successfully reuse and redevelop the junior high property to an acceptable use. And whereas reuse and redevelopment of property would preserve the historical character of the junior high building and would save the town the cost of demolition. Now therefore be resolved, Town Council, Town Manager is hereby authorized to distribute the attached RFQ for the junior high building. What is your pleasure? Moved
Second?
and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yep, go ahead.
Kim's on the committee. The committee felt that it's important to do our due diligence, so to take the time to explore any and all options as far as reuse or redevelopment before we make the recommendation that the building should be demolished. And
Yeah, and, you know, we have spent quite a bit of time going through other options and exploring them. And I think the committee felt, well, we do have the luxury of time to a certain extent. And before we reach a final conclusion and come forward and make a recommendation, we wanted to explore all available options.
Makes sense. Any further discussion? If not, if we're ready to vote, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Passes. Okay, I missed one. I have to go back to Resolution 21, 2017. A resolution providing for the authorization of sanitation department to conduct a 6-month recycling pilot project. Be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Winslow as follows. Whereas the town's MSW committee is recommended that a recycling pilot project be conducted to help measure citizens' interest in recycling. And whereas the level of interest can be used to help determine how recycling collection can be handled in the future. And whereas the revenue generated from the sale of the town's interest in PERT can be used to help fund the project. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Council of the Sanitation Department is hereby authorized to conduct a 6-month recycling pilot project.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
You know, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I had forwarded a one-pager that tried to outline the background. Principally, what the committee needs to do is to check this option of remote drop-off. Right now, of course, we have the trailers at the library, and we actually get quite a bit of material there, so people will. So what we wanted to try was to go to a single sort, meaning everything is mixed together, expand what we collect, glass, cans, so forth, so on, and then have 3 locations around town where people can drop that off, and then we would dispose of that in one of the material recovery facilities, either Eco Maine or there's one in Lewiston. We looked at the economics of doing this, and actually, if the assumptions are correct, we really have a very limited exposure because, of course, once the cost of having the containers emptied is about $307 a week if we only have them emptied once. And that would offset the $208 a week we're spending to dispose of the material we get in the trailer. So that's only $100 a week. And actually, if we just increase our recycling rate by 1 ton, that will offset $97 in a tipping fee. So now we'll break even.
1 ton extra a week.
1 ton extra a week, go from 17.7 to 18.7.
Okay.
And then any material beyond that is actually a cost savings. But we felt that we needed to try this experiment to see if it was gonna work before we went any farther.
Further discussion?
Is
Who else?
the 3 different locations still on the table with that committee?
Yes, because we haven't actually got approval for 2 of them yet.
Right.
So we can change those.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd have to say on the matter at this point is we don't do single sort now. We, from what I gather, do quite well with recycling. So if we go to the single sort with the 1 location that we currently have, we're gonna have less trash floating around town, for 1. And 2, you're gonna up it by adding these other things in the first place.
Right.
I mean, where are the other 2 locations that we're thinking?
Right now, we are looking at the Bellows Garage, which is out on the Cushman Road. You know, we wanted to get a location on that side of the river, and the Martin's parking lot. Now, these are all potential, because we'll actually have to get approval to put them in that location.
I mean, and honestly, the Martin's parking lot, no offense to anybody on the committee, the wind that whips through there, you're gonna have trash. I mean, look when the chip mill was there.
But these will be in closed containers.
Okay, and once said closed container is full, like they are over at the library, and everybody just throws it on top, I just personally think it's gonna make the town look.
Well, we can move the locations around and we can try different locations and stuff. I think we've got to get a handle on a number and just see if it's even worth.
Well, and that's why I'm saying, if you go, stick with the 1 location with 0 sort and adding more that you can sort. I mean, anybody live on the outskirts of town that has a problem recycling, going to the library instead of Bella's Garage? I mean.
The problem is and I guess we have to wait for the study anyways, but I think recycling improves the easier you make it, right? Or if you make it, like Waterville did, make it expensive not to recycle by paying for a bag.
Right.
You're gonna do one of the 2 things. You either make it very easy for them to recycle, or you gotta punish them for not recycling. And I think this is a good first try.
You know, that the primary thing, and you know, I'm sure we all do it. For example, right now, we only take 1 and 2 plastics. So I'm sure
Right.
everybody looks at the back of the container,
It gets frustrating.
you know, and we really don't take cans, and we don't take glass. And from all the work that's been done, going to a single sort does significantly increase it, if people participate. Obviously, one of the things we have to do is to have a good education program, because most people wouldn't necessarily know what a single sort is. So, and, you know, the idea of the locations, we are flexible on that. So if we find that it's not working, or that maybe we'll even start with one location first to begin with, and then expand it from there, because it really is a learning process, you know. You know, these things all sound good on paper, but you've actually got to make sure it works for people.
Raymond?
I think let the committee meet, let the committee hash out, like the training program, the educational program, the location program, what the containers, what the, you know, what how they are, and, you know, answer concerns that you have, Jeff, and then we'll let the committee's been meeting for, I'd say 4 years now, if I can remember right.
We're building a
So-
school faster than we're deciding on.
Just on
Well, you know, and that's partly due to the fact that the PERC relationship and what's coming up in the future, so you have some, you had some time to do it right and gather all the information, so there wasn't in a hurry for that as much, so let the committee meet, and then we can answer, we got your concerns, and
Well, I
so
mean,
we can come up with.
can we ask our Public Works Director his opinion on this?
Sure.
I mean, what's your feeling on a 3-site?
I think it's worth trying to see if we get a little bit better participation, because it'd be easier. Actual locations may change. You know, we need to look at them and see exactly where they are. You know, we'll have to set them up in a way where we can trap as much debris so it doesn't roll around. And it may be a big mistake, we may find out they're full of trash, and it doesn't work, but we don't know.
That's why I think education is gonna be key to making it as successful as possible.
Right.
Any further discussion? We all set? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. It's unanimous. And now we have discussion items. First one on the list is the industrial building.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious if the council wanted me to look at the possibility of selling that facility. And if we do decide we'd like to at least go down that road, I'd suggest we do an appraisal, get a commercial appraisal of the building, so we know, have a sense of what the value is.
What kind of ballpark are you talking about for cost of appraisal? Do you have something in mind? Do we have to appropriate money, or is it gonna be fine?
Now that it's paid for.
How do you do it?
Yeah, we've got money in the capital, I think we can use, that we've been putting aside for that building. I'm gonna guess the cost is probably gonna be around 3,000 roughly. So if the council would like, first step, I can get an appraisal.
Go ahead.
Yeah, good, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, you know, I think we've been very fortunate that we've had good renters, and that I think we're getting something like $500,000 a year in rent, and we just signed 5-year leases. At least it's my feeling, I do not think the town wants to be the landlord, because what happens if somebody moves, and we have a vacant piece of property now that we have to take care of. We put, the last time I looked, Mike, I think we put something like 800,000 in over the last period of time for like
Add up all the
furnaces
improvements.
and paving and roof and everything. I think we've got approximately $400,000 still invested. And considering some of the challenges that we have coming up, I would like to know what that potential value would be to help alleviate some of the debt we're going to be going into. But we have to make sure we do it. And I would also think it might be worthwhile just to have that conversation with the two tenants and just see if they have any interest. You know, I don't think we have to give them a number, but if they said, yes, we would be interested in discussing that, then that would be a pretty good start. If they come back and say no, well, then it's third party. Those are my thoughts.
Yep.
The worst thing we can do right now is make them feel that, you know, that they could be, for their long-term rating, that, you know, we're selling the property and they might not have a place to stay. They got a 5-year lease, but we have to make it as friendly, ensuring them to the point that we can, that we value their occupancy, we value their long-term commitment to jobs and that infrastructure for the town of Winslow. I'm not sure how to do that, but it's just imperative to me that they understand that this is not something, you know, but we also have to, you know, if we're gonna sell it, we put so much money, the value, in my opinion, at this present time, the next 3 or 4 years, that is at a very good point.
We don't wanna wait any longer, that's for sure. I think is your point, right? It's strike while the iron's hot.
We've talked about this a couple of times now, so I think that the next step is the appraisal. And then setting up a meeting with the 2 tenants. But getting the ball rolling definitely needs to happen, so.
And personally, I'd rather see us go to the tenants, obviously Orion having right of first refusal. If they can't, don't want to, we move on to Johnny's. May not need an appraisal. May be able to sit down around the table and say, hey, what are you willing to pay? This is what we're willing to give, you know. Instead of spending the $3,000, not that $3,000 is a lot of money, but something that everybody can live with. Instead of shooting out prices and realtors and, I mean, you start throwing realtors in there, you're gonna talk commissions, so the price goes up. So.
Do we have to get a realtor involved?
No.
Not with the appraisal.
Right.
And not with the sale even, I can't imagine. But.
I think go ahead, Ray.
I think the minimum we should do is an appraisal. I think that's just due diligence so that we know what the value of the building is, so. And I think that would be what the taxpayers would want us to get an appraisal for the building itself. That's just my opinion.
We don't wanna be accused of underselling it, that's for sure. We wanna have a feel.
I'd give it to them at this point.
Go ahead.
And we know what we have put into it over the years, so we don't really want to give it away, because we
Right.
want to give the money back if we can.
That's right.
And it doesn't mean that we gotta sell it, but we gotta start somewhere.
Yep.
And then say, yep. And it doesn't mean that anybody's gonna wanna buy it. You don't know that yet.
I don't know, I guess that could happen later on too, but maybe the potential buyers will wanna have an appraisal done. I don't know.
You know, during these discussion points, if we could ask the public out there, if anybody in the audience would like to comment on any of these discussion points at the time, please feel free to.
Does everybody have a copy of the agenda, you know what we're discussing?
Yeah.
Stuff? Okay. I see one hand up, if you would like to.
I think the idea of having an appraisal done is a good idea if you're gonna sit down with a discussion of selling the building. Because even if you were to sit down with the tenants and throw out a number and they were agreeable to it, an appraisal is gonna have to be done in order for them to finance the purchase. So having an appraisal done and knowing the value to begin with is just a selling point. And I think it would make everything a lot easier.
Thank you. Anybody else? So I guess the first step is an appraisal.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, second item under discussion would be Saturday hours for the Public Works Department.
And I think we're primarily talking in the fall for leaf drop off and then in the spring for,
Cleanup, spring
Yeah.
cleanup.
I've heard a lot of complaints about it. I gotta take a day off from work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta jump through hoops. I mean, even if you're only 3-4 hours on a Saturday, it doesn't have to be a full day. And like you said, spring, fall, you don't need to carry it throughout the summer, I don't think, but.
We did that this spring and it worked out well, I thought.
yeah, we did it last fall.
We did
And,
the spring too, didn't we?
No, we didn't
No,
do
we
it.
didn't do it this spring.
Just last fall.
Time flies.
So yeah, I never even heard about it.
Yeah, we did it
Would the
last.
Public Works Director like to weigh in on Saturday hours?
It worked last fall, we just started a little early. You know, we'll have to gauge it when people kind of the same thing, we get calls, you know.
Mm.
We close about the same time people get out of work, but
Would you rather stay later, open later, or would you rather have Saturday morning hours?
I think we got more response on Saturday.
Yep. Okay.
So we'll plan to do that, work that into the schedule.
Any other discussion on Saturday hours for the public works?
How are you going to let the public know that that's happening?
Our Facebook page.
Facebook, website, newspaper reporter.
Madeline.
It might not happen this spring, right? Are you gonna assume everybody is done with this year's spring cleanup?
We're into summer now, so I mean,
So it won't happen until fall now?
probably not.
Right.
I mean, we always get some, even, I mean, I pulled in the office last Friday and somebody had left the gate open and it was coming and going and coming and going, and it's just, there's always people, but we gotta set a limit somewhere, so. Or we decide to put somebody there on Fridays and then we change schedules, which, that might happen in the future with the recycling, as we go further along.
Yeah.
That's further discussion.
That bulletin board out there, you know.
Well, that's coming up.
I see that a lot.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people comment
Yep.
on the, you know, vote and stuff. So
Yep.
people keep aware of it.
They're
A lot of
looking at
people
it.
pass that in front of the town office and
Yep.
see that. What's that?
I'll put my sign up. Oh, that works good.
Okay, what about Saturday hours for the town office?
Yeah, this was brought up to me from someone who works Monday through Friday and really, I mean, has a hard time coming in to register their vehicle or any business with the town office. So, and I can kind of see that too, where I work Tuesday through Saturday, but I just threw it on there to see what we want to talk about it.
And there are a lot of things folks can do online. I think, in fact, I talked to the ladies last week. I think the only thing that you can't do online right now is register your dog. But you can register your car and,
Okay.
Can't pay taxes.
yeah.
Really?
Can't do.
So
Huh?
maybe it's just letting them know that they can do
You
that.
can pay your taxes online?
I believe so.
I
We,
think a
we,
lot of people don't do online payments.
I know.
yeah, we use a service called Inform Me, which is affiliated with the state of Maine. And we, except for the dog licensing, we've got, you know, things that we offer, even your sewer bill. You can pay, if you want to, you can pay online.
Just one other, does the town office or the town in general fall into like Sarbanes-Oxley or anything like that, as far as money handling?
I'm sorry?
Okay, I guess they don't.
Yeah.
Well, like certain businesses, you can't just have one person working if they're collecting money.
Yes, yes. Yeah, our auditors, we go through that every year. We have to have segregation of duties. And so, for example, Pam does the bank statement because she doesn't handle the money. I make the deposits because I don't collect the money. So we have a segregation of duties. We don't have.
I guess what I'm getting at, if one of the ladies that works here would have worked till 7 o'clock, let's say every Thursday we stay open till 7 o'clock, it's no problem with her cashing herself out.
You mean like by yourself?
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah.
It's tough because I'm one of those 4:27 guys at 4:27 PM. I come in and they're right at the door trying to lock it, and I'm going, got 3 minutes.
And you run every red light.
Well,
Yeah, and
well,
they're
I
very
was-
good, but, you know, if it was 5 o'clock, I'm sure it would be a lot, you know, I think it's more like during the week, sometimes that 4:30 thing, if you get out of work at 3:30, you try to get here, and sometimes.
You guys work at 3:30.
Huh?
You gotta work at 3:30.
No, I don't, but,
Oh.
you know, yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking like a lot of the credit unions, they have one night a week, like Thursday night, that they stay
Yeah.
open.
Yeah, see, I
later
think,
to accommodate folks that can't be there by 4:30, 5 o'clock. You know, is that
Didn't
something
we
we
just
wanna look
change
into?
the hours?
No, we talked about it.
We talked
about
Okay.
it.
We decided not
Didn't we
to.
just do this?
I assume that the people who work in the office would rather stay an extra hour one night a week than come in on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Is that an
No,
assumption
but-
I'm gonna make?
Yeah, I came back, geez, when was that? Was that in the fall? with us, with options to change the schedule. We decided not to do that.
Can we ask Pam what her opinion is? Pam, what's your opinion? Do you want to come in on Saturday?
What we need is input from the public to see if it's worth doing it. It'd be hard to open that on a Saturday morning for 3 people. But on the other hand, if people gotta come to the town office to do business, it's gotta be open when they're ready to do business too, so.
Now, this is a public could comment, so we could blame them for making a decision as the public said.
The public said. So if anybody wants to weigh in
Yeah.
on Saturday hours or extra hours in the town offices because they can't make it, let us know. Next item for discussion is the digital messaging board.
Oh, really?
I've thought about this before.
Really?
Well,
I think it's a good idea.
I don't know, last couple of years, I've been thinking about that, and Paul and I talked about it. When we do the walkway, what I'd like to do is put in a conduit, so that where that big bush is, we could get rid of that and, ultimately put in a messaging display board where we could put, messages about what's going on in town as far as town government.
Meetings,
Yeah.
athletic events.
But
Bright orange, so.
Just like the one on the credit union, Taconic Credit Union. And it would just,
Yeah, I like that.
that way people coming by,
Maybe we need 2, one for each bridge.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's useful. You watch it. Have to be on I wouldn't want to let it run all night, because of the residentials. Residential people there would have to be respectful for them, but I think it's a good idea to look into
probably the
it.
first
See
step
what the
might-
cost is and then.
Find out what the cost
Yeah,
is.
find out and,
perhaps through the next budget cycle.
yeah.
Use TIF money for that, can we?
And how expensive it is to replace all the bulbs.
Yep. And we have a member of the audience who would like to say something. Go
Well,
ahead.
as a representative of the public school, I would be curious to know if the town was to move in that direction for a sign for yourself, I would hope that the school would be allowed to consider that, because our PTO tried to do this a number of years ago, and we were told that zoning ordinances would not allow us to put an electronic sign out in front of our school.
Well, of course, if the
I
school
think
uses
that-
it,
I
there
don't know
will
if
be
it
a
still
bill
is, but
sent.
It used to be, you could not put a digital sign out in town.
Yeah, how long ago was that, Kyle?
I'm gonna say it was about 10 years ago when I
Okay.
first came, but there was a heavy push and money available, and my recollection was we weren't getting anywhere with some sort of way.
We'll have to talk to the powers that be that make those rules and see if,
Yeah, I think that there
The
are
school
some
thing.
standards though.
yeah, it probably is.
You know, that
Size
frequency and
Right.
how
brightness
quickly-
and,
Yeah.
So when looking at one across the street, it makes you wonder. I mean, there is one across the street from us that's tacky.
Yeah.
Could you report back at the next meeting, the ordinances and what the restrictions are
Yep.
for
We have
digital
3
signs?
currently.
well, we have the planning board chairman
Yeah.
here. He must know those rules back.
Could you look into that first, Hillary?
Sun.
I don't remember anything about it.
You know?
Trying to give him work and Ellery more work.
Good try,
All you have to do is feign ignorance, huh? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I could look into that.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, you can, that's what it's for.
That Paul, I really appreciate you coming to all the meetings. That, I know there's a lot of department heads that don't go to meetings, and I really appreciate you coming to all of them, because we can ask you really weird questions and make unrealistic expectations of you, but I really appreciate you being here and making the time to come here.
I may be skipping a couple this week.
No,
Usually there's
that's
something on
fine.
the agenda.
No, but I always know that you're gonna be here, and if you're not here, then that's fine, but I just wanted to make a comment.
I think Amanda's not here for shit or reason.
Wow.
Oh, Amanda is, okay, people, I was just trying to give Paul a compliment, okay?
Then
Yes.
his head swells.
Yeah.
that's it.
I tried commenting on once and my road still wasn't paved. so-
Yes, that's what,
That's
that's what you're
First
fishing
know
for.
what, but just, don't work.
Any further discussions? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Passes unanimous.
It's pretty good what,